Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square with T-Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. Got a great video planned out for you guys today. We're going to talk a little bit about gold and silver, a little bit about Bitcoin, and a little bit about the insanity that is actually getting talked about in the market, in the comments, and I'll be honest, just about everywhere. And that's okay, because when there's insanity, there's money to be made. And that's the way I really do feel about it. I know some people right now are discouraged. Metal's not quite doing what they should be doing. However, we did see a recent little perk up as we saw silver go up about $1.50, which is pretty amazing to me, especially since the dollar's getting stronger. Now, really never before have I seen the dollar getting stronger and precious metals going up in price. Usually that would have the exact opposite effect. If you've been watching these videos or other people's videos, you should understand by now that as the dollar gets stronger in terms of appearance, you get to buy more products with it, and therefore those products essentially get cheaper as the dollar gets stronger. We are not exactly seeing that, and that's why I say there's a lot of stuff going on right now that's not adding up. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that today. If you guys enjoy the video, please be sure to take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button for me, leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you'd like. And it's not going to be a long video today, but it's definitely going to be an important one in my opinion. And if you're not a member and you'd like to consider becoming a member, it is only $1.99 right now to become a member. You can click that join button below and you get a lot of cool perks, including your comments coming right to my phone. You will be entered in all of our special events every month that we run. We'll be running a special event probably within a week and a half. Before the month's out, we always run one. Sometimes early in the month. This month looking like a little later in the month. And you have an opportunity to win a really cool prize. So plus it helps out the channel. So with that being said, let's jump in. And if you're not subscribed to the ultimate, it only takes a click of a button to become subscribed. We are striving for that 14K. We're right around the corner, and then we're hoping to blow through it, go right on up to 15. So with that being said, let's get talking about what's going on today. So I got to start out with some comments that I had received about Bitcoin, because I have been talking a little bit more about Bitcoin, not in the most positive light, but also not in the most negative light. However, I do still hear people talking extremely negative about silver. How if you had bought in 2011, you would basically have washed your hands clean. I mean, but when people want to use those extremely, I'll say, I hate to use the word asinine, but insane comments, you have to understand for a quick minute. If I were to use that same mentality, I could tell you the people that are extremely anti against silver and gold and pro Bitcoin, I can make the same argument and say if you had bought in Bitcoin 3 years ago, you're really not up a ton of money, because we've seen it go high. It's above its all-time high. I'm going to be fair, but you have to understand that 3 years, and it really didn't do a whole lot when you take into account that huge collapse. And that's kind of where I think Bitcoin is going to end up. Another crash. I hate to say it. It's a digital currency. It's a lot going on right now that is pumping up Bitcoin. And when I see the president-elect making a comment that, you know, hey, maybe we're going to buy 1 million Bitcoin or different statements like that, you know, how much of these statements are actually going to be fulfilled? You know, who in their right mind is going to want to sell the gold from the U.S., if we even still have it, to buy Bitcoin? I mean, if anything, you might as well just print more money and buy Bitcoin if that's what they want to do. I would think that would be a bad move too, but right now everybody is thinking it's so great because it is at the top. I mean, it just hit another all-time high today. I had one friend, he is on the fence of taking out, but I kind of wonder, when I was talking to him earlier, you know, his attitude is, you know, I don't know, Bitcoin's up, And, I say I should probably just make a plan and get out when I hit a certain amount. But here's what happens, and it always happens. Greed steps in. I don't know how many times I've sat at a slot machine and started playing, and it's easy to say, you know what, if I make a quick couple $100, I'm going to go eat me a nice steak dinner, go out to eat, enjoy my evening, and that's going to be it. And then all of a sudden you hit that couple $100 and then you want more. You think you are untouchable. And a lot of times people get wiped out. And that's kind of part of the process, I believe, to suck up even more money. As people continue to see it go up, they know the average person is going to get destroyed when this comes down. There's talk right now of prominent figures buying huge amounts of Bitcoin. And I have to say, I want you to think about this for a minute. If I was a prominent figure and I was going to buy a ton of Bitcoin, would I tell everybody? Let me put it another way. If I was going to go out and buy tons of silver for the government, would I tell everybody? No, because what would that do? That would drive up the price of silver on me. It's driving up the price of Bitcoin on them, which means to me they have no intention of buying more Bitcoin. They've got their position. They're trying to pump it up as much as they can by any means necessary. And essentially, there's no real purpose of it. Even Elon Musk, when Elon Musk was tweeting Dogecoin every day, what do you think his purpose was? His purpose was to pump it up. Why? Because he had already held his position. Now, does he want to bring light to it? Of course. I mean, and maybe he's invested in it and still invested in it. But I really do believe that essentially when you're giving away your plays, you're doing it for another reason. You're doing it for gains. And it doesn't make sense. And when you really start looking at these things that don't make sense, you start to see the big picture. Now, jumping over to the U.S. dollar, the U.S. dollar just breaking 106 now. So we're at 106.25. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's the DXY chart that compares the U.S. dollar against a lot of other top currencies. And, the U.S. dollar, it's looking good right now. I'm not going to sit here and downplay it. It's doing great. I mean, it's on a move back upward. It's looking like it's going to keep going upward. But you have to understand, when that happens, that usually paints to cheaper products, cheaper oil, cheaper gold, cheaper silver. And then after what we've seen, we're seeing a lot of buying taking place over the last couple of days. Now, that also has me wondering why. Well, one of the beliefs that I have is that silver is being oversold. It has been being oversold, and that's what drove the price down to $29.50 roughly. And I think as we've seen that little pop, now we're back up to $31. I think there's a strong possibility that the opportunity to buy the dip is kind of winding down. Now, what does that mean exactly? The opportunity to stack, is it over? That's not what I mean by saying that. I have to elaborate a little bit more on that, because the truth of the matter is buying silver is going to put you in a better position a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road. And I mean by all of them. So, if you're not stacking or you don't have any, that's a very bad position to be in, because the truth of the matter is this system of things is pretty well unstable. Now with the recent, now here I got to walk a little bit of a fine line, because certain things you really can't talk about, so you have to interpret a little bit here. But this is just going to be for a couple minutes. With the approval to use long-range weapons in Europe, that could kind of escalate things. And I realize that the people that gave that approval, most of them are on their way out the door within a couple months. So it really doesn't matter to them what happens. To them, they just kick back and just laugh at what's going on. And I'm not saying what's going on is right. I don't believe in war at all. Was I a part of it? Of course. I was military, retired military. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't always solve problems. You have to go to the negotiating table, try to make ends meet, try to work out some kind of problem. And I really think that there is a group of people, despite what some people out there will believe, that are just more concerned about, I guess, getting a rise out of people, pushing buttons. And you see it. Maybe you have a friend out there that just likes pushing buttons just to get a rise out of you. And that's kind of what I feel is going on a little bit right now. But here's the thing. As these tensions continue to escalate, it only makes sense that precious metals is going to do well, and it's going to continue to climb higher. Now, there again, I have to re-elaborate that we could see some sort of a pullback. It's funny that when they spew a story, by whatever the means, the impact that story has before people even validate the story, whether or not it's real or not real. I remember reading an article years ago that they were going to start mining gold and silver on the moon. And specifically gold on not on the moon, but on an asteroid or something. And all of a sudden, gold price starts dipping and everybody's talking about it. I remember reading an article about some huge find they found down in like Peru or somewhere of silver, middle of nowhere. There's no roads, there's no nothing. Somebody found a big deposit of silver, and they think that silver is going to hit the markets instantly and plunge the price. I mean, it's going to take time to get roads in there. It's going to take time to get mining operations going. It's going to take permits and stuff. And at a time where price has been relatively low for silver, let's be honest. I know some people are going to be like, low? We're over $30 now. It's still relatively low in the grand scheme of things. When you look at the prices of everything else that has drastically gone up, and then you look at the price of silver that it has seen the increase, we didn't really see a big increase in silver. What did we see in silver when you think about it? We were at $22 at the beginning of the year, and now we're at 30, 31. I mean, that's not really a big jump. It's a 50% jump. I'm very happy with that jump. Do not get me wrong. But that's nothing compared to what we've seen other stuff go up at. And also another factor that I think is going on, as countries are starting to see, one, Trump will be in office pretty soon. He will open up a lot more drilling here in the United States, the Eagle Ford Shale area in Texas, along with stuff up towards Connecticut, Pennsylvania, I think it was, and then stuff out in other parts of the country that has large oil deposits. You have to understand that will potentially drive oil prices lower. Why? Because we're going to put a lot more oil on the market. We're not going to have to buy it from the same old countries that we have been buying from. And once you realize that, then you start seeing, okay, so there's incentive for these people to hurry up and bring down the oil price. Because what does happen, if they can drop the oil price now while they're in control pretty much of the oil, then you have to understand it makes it harder for American companies to get their wells up and running. Why? Because they might be selling oil at $70 a barrel instead of 80, 90, 100. And so once you realize that, you understand why the price is coming down right now. And I'll be honest, cheaper gas does make it cheaper. Cheaper gas, cheaper oil, cheaper diesel, they all go together. It makes it easier for mining companies that mines gold and silver to be able to operate their equipment, to be able to get their diesel at a cheaper price. But how long can this last? It's nice to think that essentially the prices are going to stay low. And it's easy to think for a second that, once Trump's in and we get our operation, we start mining more, then that will drop the price. And that's good to think of. However, there's also the possibility that it could still go up with the fact that we no longer have our strategic stockpile reserves. We're obviously going to try to fill those up, hopefully. because if any kind of major event breaks out, it's going to be bumming that we don't have them filled up. And I guarantee if something ugly happens, it's going to be, well, Trump was in office, why didn't he fill them? But the truth of the matter is we got left high and dry on that case. And we'll see how that plays out. Nothing may come of it. Maybe we'll essentially see the price plunge and we'll be able to fill it back up cheaper, which would be very nice and wishful thinking, but we'll see what happens. Precious metals is not a get-rich-quick overnight scheme. It's not something like Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I personally believe we will see a correction come in Bitcoin. Because let's be honest, if silver had this much of a run-up, people would be saying it's due for a pullback. And likewise, with Bitcoin, we're not hearing anybody say that. What they're saying is it's going to go even higher, and that's it. And greed is starting to fill the market. And as more and more people believe in this greed, you run the risk of getting squished. And I guess to the people out there that are diversified, I do read a lot of serious comments from individuals that are still, they recognize that they are gambling, they're diversifying in their Bitcoin and other crypto strategies. And I'll be honest, I was a gambler on crypto too, and I made my profits. I converted it into precious metals, and I got out. I looked at it like, you know what, I'm losing sleep. I don't know if this the lack of sleep takes a toll on my health. I had a couple people ask me when they realized I wasn't sleeping recently. Someone's like, are you back trading? I'm not back trading. I am going through a few minor health issues right now and a few personal issues. So it does take its toll on my sleep habits. And then obviously there's just some things that I'm not willing to back down on. The fact that I really enjoy YouTube and I am determined to make it as a YouTuber, even if the road for me happens to be 4 or 5 times longer than other people, it doesn't matter. I'm in it for the long term. And I'm not a quitter, so we'll see what happens. So that is taking its toll a little bit on my sleep, but it's not because I am back day trading cryptos, or night trading, I should say. So I want people to understand, though, gold and silver is going to be here for the long haul. For anybody that thinks it's not going to be, only has to look at the deficit that we're running every year. Every year, we continue to run a deficit on silver. And that deficit does not mean we're not going to have any. It just means that it's going to continue to see our supplies dwindle lower and lower and lower at a time when more and more countries are using it for technology, more and more industrial demand, more and more military demands, and less and less people really mining it. And the supply of it, being able to mine it, is getting harder and harder. Why? Because obviously we've taken all the easy pick fruits. I don't know if any of you guys ever worked at an apple orchard, or you've ever been to even an apple orchard, but when you go to these orchards and you walk through the fields, you're with your family, you're picking a bag of apples or oranges or whatever, you're going to pick the stuff that's fairly low-hanging fruit. And that's the easy pickings. And then after all that is picked throughout the field, usually they bring in equipment, with their boomsticks, I guess you can call it, or whatever, and, their booms, and they start manless, maybe, I don't know what they call them, but needless to say, they do start picking higher and higher fruit. Now, someone might make the argument and say, oh no, they start using sticks. Everybody's different how they pick their crops. It's the same way, though, with mining. All the easy stuff has been picked. They've mined all the easy mining silver. And there's also the argument, too, for the people out there that are still on the fence, that silver is basically a byproduct. The more, if it's a byproduct of, let's say, silver, I don't know the exact metals that it's a byproduct of, but let's just say silver is a byproduct of copper. And that's great. We're needing copper. We're taking a bunch of copper. We're getting some silver. It's adding on the market. We're not getting enough silver. What happens if the economy did tank? We wouldn't need as much silver, because silver is strictly industrial demand. Silver is industrial demand, but a lot of people like it as a safe haven asset. People like us, people like me, when you see the silver in front of you. So there's so many things that are lining up for silver for it to go a whole lot higher. And once you realize that, that's it. If you either have it or you don't have it. And when the price does jump, it's nice to have it. And here's the thing, tides can turn overnight. And for people out there that are just on the fence line, or they're waiting, or they keep saying, I'm gonna, maybe, it's gonna happen quick. And if you don't have yours, you probably are going to be paying a whole lot higher. And let's just say we see some kind of crazy event where cryptos tank at the same time as gold and silver jumping, then that's it. Now you're not only losing half your money, but you're paying double the price. And what you could have gotten a nice score for, now you're only going to get 25% of the silver you were going to get. So something to consider. I thank everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're subscribed. If you'd like to become a member, like I said, it's only $1.99. It really helps out the channel. And if not, it's not for everybody. I understand everybody's position is a little different. I thank you all for watching. As long as you're subscribed, you hit that thumbs up button, you are doing your part. And I am super thankful for it. And I'm going to keep doing mine and popping out these videos every day. And I thank you all for watching. Take care, everybody, and have a great day. Bye-bye.